Despite being one of Marvel's most iconic and beloved teams, the Fantastic Four has had a bloody rough ride on the big screen. From the almost released 1994 Fantastic Four movie that never happened, to the 2005 and 2007 Tim Story films that, sure, are a bit of fun, but ultimately miss out on the adventure and scale of the comics, to the 2015 disaster that went so far off the rails in front of and behind the camera, it left audiences going, "What the fuck was that?" Safe to say they've had a tough ride. It's the opinion of myself and a lot of comic fans that the Fantastic Four have yet to be accurately represented on screen. This notion holds so true that a lot of fans point to The Incredibles as the only true Fantastic Four movie that captures the scale, exploration, heart, and dynamic of Marvel's first family. It's left fans asking, is it possible to make a good Fantastic Four movie? Is it just a lost cause? Well, no, it's absolutely possible to make this work. Hickman's run for the Fantastic Four is begging to be adapted to screen, but I'll get to that in my next video. Today, I just want to go through the history of the Fantastic Four on screen, explore how they failed to capture what makes the FF just so damn compelling. Additionally, I want to briefly take you guys through the comics, outline to you guys what makes the Fantastic Four one of my favorite teams in superhero fiction, how each one of these characters are more complex than they initially lead on.
I've got some things rattling around in my head I need to deal with.
Walking away from this video, you're going to have an amazing understanding of where they went wrong with the Fantastic Four movies. Additionally, you're going to thoroughly understand who they actually are. You're going to understand them on a level you previously didn't. The Fantastic Four are one of my favorite teams in superhero fiction. Whilst the Justice League is often a story of humanity, the Avengers embody our highest potential, and the X-Men grapple with themes of prejudice and pride. The Fantastic Four, wow, the Fantastic Four is about something much more profound. On the surface, yes, one of the core themes is family, and it's a theme we shouldn't overlook. But when we dive deeper into the lives of Reed, Sue, Ben, and Johnny, we discover a tale of pioneers, of explorers. And this notion shouldn't go overlooked. Whilst they may find themselves in the Savage Land, the Negative Zone, or Atlantis, they are also explorers in another way, an internal way. What do I mean by this? Well, you see, what makes the FF comic truly unique is how the exploration of the team's personal flaws, trials, and tribulations match their exploration of their outer world. Exploring the nature of how Sue is feeling undervalued is just as interesting as solving the answers of the universe. Johnny wrestling with a sense of purpose, of taking on responsibility, holds just as much weight as Reed stopping a celestial invasion of the multiverse.
Activate bridge!
The beauty of the Fantastic Four is when the exploration of the internal world, their thoughts and feelings, and the exploration of their outer world, the large sci-fi vistas, come together. This is when we get moments like Johnny's sacrifice.
Johnny, what are you... No!
When you see Reed, you tell him this is where I made my stand, engaging the locking mechanism.
Wait! No! No, 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 no!
Unbelievable. You don't wish it any more than I do. So, this is it. Billion to one. You think I'm afraid of that? You think I'm afraid of that? Flame
What I'm trying to get at is the FF are explorers at their core, of the external world, and just as importantly, of their internal worlds. They are a family first and heroes second. Their story isn't just one of saving the day, it's about discovering who they are, both individually and together. And that's what makes them so compelling, so timeless.
Who built this place? We did. Dr. Richards, this is a dream made reality, a place to become something greater than what you were. It's time you reached your full potential.
I'll wait until we go through the movies to go through these characters specifically, but I want you to understand one simple thing. It is the depth that makes these characters, this team, this family, tick. It's the layers that makes them so multifaceted, and any incarnation of the Fantastic Four that is one note, that is surface level, that paints these complex people as just a smart guy, just a nagging wife, just a brute, or just a child, is missing the point.
It's catchy, right?
But we'll get to all that quite shortly, so let's not waste any more time. Let's kick off with their first attempt. The production and machinations behind Roger Corman's 1994 Fantastic Four movie is a nightmare to discuss. There's so much to it that I dedicated an entire video to the making, or cancellation rather, of this movie in its own separate video. I have no interest in bogging down this video with that crap, so let's stay locked to the actual movie. To summarize, I describe it as cute. It's quaint in a way. It's the best Fantastic Four movie one could make with a budget of just $1 million. It has a weird Mole Man workaround, seeing as they didn't have the rights to use him. Okay, jeweler. It's Mole Man. It's Mole Man, guys. Doctor Doom is pretty accurate. It's the only origin of the three that actually does it right, although he is doing something odd with his fingers the entire time. Look, it's meant to mimic Mussolini, but it's closer to those finger dances in my opinion. There's a weird age gap thing with Sue weirdly being infatuated with a grown-ass man. Speaking of grown-ass men, Ben Grimm, who's clearly 20 years older than these kids, is just living with them. Is he related to them? No. Is it weird? Totally. Outside of that, the movie is pretty bang on, pretty accurate to the iconography. We got Latveria, Doctor Doom being Doctor Doom. Side note, the score is genuinely impressive considering the shoestring budget. The rivalry between Reed and Doom, whilst two-dimensional, is still very compelling. And shit, the suits are ripped straight out of the 60s comics. It's certainly the most accurate version of the Fantastic Four we've gotten, which begs the question, just because it's accurate doesn't mean it's good. In this case, no. It does have all the pitfalls of the low budget, a script, a movie that is surface level, that has iconography and a bit of heart of the Fantastic Four, without any of the dimension to make them fully realized characters. Although, seeing as this movie was made with the sole intention to shelve it, I'm not going to rag on it too much. Instead, I think it's time that we divert our attention to the early 2000s.
Remember my brother Johnny?
Alright, so it's 2005. You've come straight out of seeing the first big screen Fantastic Four movie and you're left thinking, what did I just watch? Where was the story going? It just kind of meanders its way from moment to moment, and to me that's the biggest sin a Fantastic Four movie could make. Making a movie about a bunch of explorers, pioneers, and you don't explore? You don't discover anything outside of the fact that, I don't know, flowers don't grow in space?
I ain't done arranging your flowers yet, egghead.
I don't know what's going on there, man. Anyways, where was I? Yeah, this. Wow. What a movie, right? Sure, it's got some fun sequences, but it falls short in how lackluster it all comes across, how not creative they are with their powers. Sue in the comics is a force to be reckoned with. She can hold up an air pocket in Atlantis, withstanding the force of millions of liters of water pressure weighing down on her. She can create force fields within people's bodies, cutting off the circulation to their heart. Sue in the movie, however, well, yeah, she leaves more to be desired. She's pretty much the punching bag of a weird nudity joke. A situation that, can I point out, makes no sense. She strips down, get this, to sneak through a crowd, only for Johnny and Reed to slip through regardless. What was the point of that? Anyways, what really grinds my gears about this Fantastic Four movie is how boring it all feels, how recycled it all comes across. Doom from the comics, Romani genius with witchcraft living in a big castle, a rivalry on par with Messi and Ronaldo, Nadal and Federer, but in the movie, he's Norman Osborn light.
You know how much I sacrificed?
This paper-thin approach to the characters is across the board, sadly. It's surface deep, face value, and that goes for the NPC extras as well. So yeah, it's pretty one note. Sue is whiny, Ben is pessimistic, Johnny is irresponsible, and Reed is a plank of wood. What's frustrating is that it neglects the depth that makes these characters so rich and multifaceted. Why Reed has to be stern and decisive, why Sue is always on everyone's shit, why Johnny scaves off responsibility, and so on and so on. This is something that I'll be coming back to shortly, as it's the depth that makes these characters so fascinating. It's something we'll explore soon. But look, I can't be too harsh on this movie. It is a product of its time, a movie that just wanted to build off the success of the burgeoning superhero genre. I guess the most disheartening part about this movie is how it wears the skin of the FF. It's got the iconography, the visuals, and the flame on, and the origin, and so forth, but it lacks all the depth that makes the FF so rich, so endearing. Their heart, the family unit, how multifaceted and complex they all are. The depth. The 2007 sequel, Rise of the Silver Surfer, offers a different host of issues. Again, like the 2005 film, it has some amazing sequences. The Silver Surfer chase is truly brilliant, but again, it's surrounded by a meandering story. The characters feel closer to their comic book personas, but remain shallow and underwhelming. The four still feel like caricatures of their comic book counterparts, rather than fully realized characters, with their relationships, their personal growth not being central to the story. That isn't to say that there isn't an attempt, because there is, but Sue's desire for purpose in her marriage and Johnny tussling with responsibility feels like an afterthought, in the backdrop of slapstick and whatever this is. It means that the emotional moments don't land because they're not prioritized. Its focus is with plot, not character. I do have to say though, any scene with the Silver Surfer is just brilliant. The guy's aura is unmatched. However, it only further highlights how lackluster scenes like this feel, or like this. How disappointing it feels to get a Silver Surfer this good and a Galactus this cloudy? Seriously man, all you have to do is give us Ultimate Alliance Galactus. How hard is that? Big dude, booming voice. Sure, maybe it wouldn't have worked in the safe era of superhero movies that was the 2000s, but man, it would have sold a lot of fans on the notion that they want to lean into elements of the Fantastic Four that make the team so exciting. The adventure, the grand epic locations, and the characters that they meet. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. Michael Chiklis is great as Ben Grimm. Goddamn, he's just made for this role.
Yeah, that's right. Keep running, boo-boo.
John Ottoman's score is truly fantastic as well. It's heroic, it's exciting, it gives life to two otherwise flat movies. I think why a lot of people in recent years have viewed the Tim Story Fantastic Four movies as worth revisiting is because they hold up as fun, low-effort action movies. The action is easily the strongest part of the sequel, but man, to any actual Fantastic Four fans, it just feels like the story isn't connecting, like they're missing the depth that makes these characters resonate. It's why you see review after review of these movies saying the same thing. Shallow, surface level, lacking depth, because it is. Now, whilst I'd love to talk about abs that show PowerPoint presentations all day, I think it's time we direct our attention to this pile of shit. Wait a second, that isn't a pile of shit, that's Fan Four Stick. Oh wait. Now, I don't think we'll ever see Josh Trank's Fantastic Four movie. For those that don't know, the Chronicle director's original intention for the reboot was to lean into the body horror of the team, giving us a much darker incarnation of the FF. Fox, wanting a more traditional blockbuster, came in with their own team and chopped the movie to pieces, reshooting a large sum of it. And we can see this thanks to Kate Mara's weird wig situation. Jesus Christ. Trank spiraled with erratic behavior that led to big disagreements with Reed Richards' actor Miles Teller, as well as trashing a house he was staying at during filming. But let's not get into that, we'll be here all day. Regardless, that's resulted in this mess of a movie meddled with so much it removed any potentially interesting directions Trank was originally going to take. A movie so boring, I don't know where to start. Actually, here's a good start. Ben's heroic call to action is now derived from domestic abuse. Johnny's awesome flame on is now just a switch on his wrist. Wow. Dr. Doom, the Fantastic Four's greatest villain, is now a grey mannequin? I feel like the last thing a Fantastic Four movie should be is boring. These are characters that are larger than life, yet here they're all doom and gloom. They lack any kind of spark. Shit, maybe it's the muddy, dark palette, but I think it lies with characterization. In every depiction of the Fantastic Four, characterization has been a huge issue. Consistently misunderstanding these heroes, these people, the studio consistently meddling with the behind the scenes of these movies. A movie that was never meant to be made, a movie that was underwhelming, or one that was completely remade. Look, I have no doubt that the people behind these movies cared about these characters, but what was delivered was a series of films that didn't understand the depth of these characters, the heart, the complexities of their personalities, and the potential that lied there to tell a truly great Fantastic Four story. So that begs the question, what does a great Fantastic Four story look like? Well, we'll take a look at that next time, but what I want to do is lean into that characterization. What makes these characters so damn compelling? Their complexity, their depth, their vulnerabilities. First we have Reed Richards, the leader of the team. Reed is often painted as a cold, calculated scientist, the one who's always in control, always thinking things through. But that's not the full picture. Yes, he's pragmatic, incredibly intelligent, and driven by a deep sense of responsibility, but Reed's character is also a subversion of the typical scientist archetype. He's far from perfect. His mistakes haunt him. So much so that the last time he was wrong, it cost him more than just a scientific error. It disfigured his best friend and changed the fabric of his family forever. This trauma is what drives his self-criticism, his obsession with constantly stretching his understanding of the universe and pushing the limits of what he can learn. Reed's not just seeking answers for his own sake, he wants to solve humanity's problems. Let me be very clear, his intellect is not an ego trip, it's a burden he bears, trying to right the wrongs he's done. At his core, he's deeply human, and that vulnerability makes him an unexpectedly relatable leader, father, and partner. Then there's Susan Storm, the Invisible Woman, the secret powerhouse of the team. Sue's powers go far beyond invisibility. She can create force fields, fly, bend light itself. She's not someone you want to mess with, but her real strength is in her heart. Sue is the emotional anchor of the Fantastic Four. She's been a mother to Johnny, raised him from a young age, and she'll always put family first. It's what she's used to. It's what she knows. Whilst she's more than capable of being a badass when the situation demands it, Sue fundamentally defines herself through her nurturing nature. She has, at times, flirted with stepping outside of this role, mainly with Namor, but ultimately after feeling appreciated, she returns to her family. Sue understands the value of what she's built. She's the ultimate mum, not because she cares to everyone's needs and isn't on top of everyone's shit, but because she sticks by her family even when it's hard. When Ben is off doing his own thing, when Reed is neglecting her, or when Johnny is being a nuisance. She is the team's compass, the one who keeps them grounded, and the one who lights the way. Without Sue, there is no Fantastic Four. Her ability to flourish and fulfill her greatest potential, as a woman, as a sister, as a partner, as a mother, lies with the family she's built. As much as the others need Susan Storm, she needs them too. Next is her brother, Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, who could easily be seen as the Peter Pan of the group. While his older sister Sue has taken on the weight of his responsibility, Johnny is free to live out his reckless, impulsive, and attention-grabbing persona. On the surface, Johnny seems like a typical narcissistic, fame-driven kid, chasing thrills and fleeting moments of glory. But if you dig deeper, you'll realize that Johnny is not the shallow, egotistical mess he appears to be. In fact, he's one of the most endearing, yet insecure members of the team. He's terrified of failure and the weight of his expectations. Johnny is always trying to reinvent himself or date someone new, not because he's a superficial playboy, but because he's desperately trying to find his place and prove his worth. Underneath his flashy exterior, Johnny has integrity. He's heroic, not for the spotlight, but because he knows it's the right thing to do. His bravery is rooted in his desire to live up to the amazing people around him, not because he wants to be seen as the hero. Johnny may be a hothead, erratic and unpredictable, but at his core he's someone who wants to be a part of something bigger than himself. Then there's Ben Grimm, the heart of the team, the one who's grounded and reliable, yet often seen as the brute, being the muscle of the team. Ben's transformation into the Thing has left him feeling isolated, wrestling with demons both internal and external. But despite his rough exterior, Ben is perhaps the most tender-hearted member of the Fantastic Four. He's been through the most traumatic change, losing his old life and identity in a single catastrophic moment. Yet, over time, Ben has learned to find a new purpose, creating a life beyond his previous self-image. His relationship with Alicia Masters is one of the most touching aspects of his character, as she sees, poor choice of words, and loves him for who he truly is. Ben's arc is about acceptance, learning to live with himself, flaws and all, and discovering that true strength comes from vulnerability. Whilst he's often the most grounded member of the team, Ben has his own personal battles, and his journey of finding peace is just as important as the battles he fights externally. Okay, so what's the point? Whilst each member of the Fantastic Four could stand on their own, could be great heroes in their own right, the magic truly happens when they come together. When they're put in the same room, when they challenge each other, they dig into each other's complexities and cut to deeper truths about each other than typical heroes can. Their familiar bonds allow that. Their shared love of adventure, exploring new worlds and tackling challenges head-on is powerful, but it's also about exploring the inner worlds within themselves as well. Each member brings something unique to the table, and together they form something greater than the sum of their parts. But it's not all sunshine and roses. The Fantastic Four isn't bound to one another through some weird cosmic force or obligation. They go off on their own, pursue their own individual journeys. Ben, for example, has great friendships with other heroes, and we see time and time again that he's a guy that everyone likes and respects. Despite their differences, they all live their lives as regular people when the mission is done. They're heroes, yes, but they're also a family, and they interact with the world like any other New Yorker would, whether they're taking care of kids or going on a night out on the town. The Fantastic Four don't hide behind masks or a grand organization. They live, they love, and they grow together. At the end of the day, the Fantastic Four is about family. They may be larger-than-life figures with extraordinary powers, but it's their humanity, what they struggle with, how they relate to one another, that makes them so compelling. Together, they show us that being a hero doesn't mean being perfect. It means growing, learning, and leaning on each other, no matter what challenges they face. Together, Reed, Susan, Ben, and Johnny form a team that is defined not just by their powers, but by their hearts. They are a family, each member bringing their own unique struggles, ambitions, and emotional depth to the table. What makes them stand out from other Marvel heroes is that their powers are secondary to their relationships and their personal growth. Their emotional journeys, their internal battles with self-worth, identity, and the consequences of their actions are just as important, if not more so, than the external battles they face as superheroes. That's what's refreshing about them, what makes them stand out, and it's something we haven't yet to see in a Fantastic Four movie. In a universe full of cosmic battles and world-shattering events, the Fantastic Four stand apart as a team that is built not just to save the world, but to explore the unknown, solve humanity's problems, push the needle forward, and connect with each other in the most meaningful of ways.
He didn't tell you because you weren't ready to understand. So you only had a role. You played a part. At the age you are right now, we can't be trusted.
What does that mean?
The Council.
Ah, you think I made the wrong choice.
Because you did.
I still don't understand.
All of this came from Reed joining the Council, being part of all those Reeds trying to make better worlds. He left them because he refused to make the sacrifice each of them had. He refused to abandon those he loved for the greater cause. They put the well-being of the multiverse ahead of the few, their families.
It was a logical, rational choice, but the wrong one.
Why?
I have seen hundreds of iterations of this day, relived it countless times. I have interceded, I have manipulated, I have done everything I could to produce a new outcome, and my every effort has failed. You see, son, this was the day all your sins caught up you. It's the day you died. But Franklin figured it out. And he wouldn't have it. He wouldn't stand for it.
Look at me, son.
Every boy deserves a father.